Well, good morning, everybody. It's our Saturday devotional time. And over the course of the last several weeks and throughout the course of the next several weeks, we're talking about this thing called change and how we better equip ourselves to be members, participants, if you would, in the kingdom of God. How we find our place, how we fit, how our talents have been given us for the purpose of furthering God's kingdom, that each one of us has been gifted with something that nobody else has, and that each one of your gifts are important. Every single one. And coming out of the devotional today, we're going to read from Matthew chapter 25. And I'm reminded of the Geico commercials from some time ago. They just recently recycled through them. But the It's What You Do commercials, the one that sticks in my head is the raccoon one where they're eating crap out of the garbage, and one raccoon takes a bite and he's like, "Oh, this is terrible. You got to try it." And the other raccoon says, "Well, if it's terrible, I don't want to try it." No. This is really bad. You got to try it. "Oh, I don't want to try it if it's, you know." But the thought was, well, when you eat something horrible, you want somebody else to try it too. That's what you do. Well, at least I thought it was funny. Well, this idea of it's what you do means that the things of God become so ingrained in our deepest parts that the way we behave, the things that we do, the things that we seek, is just what we do. And I'm reminded about the words of Jesus in Matthew chapter 25. Now listen to this. This is at the end times. Now, whether or not it goes down like this verbatim, I don't know. I think Jesus is just trying to make a point. But listen to this. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his throne in heavenly glory. And all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he'll put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. And I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." And one of the things that struck me as curious as I was reading through Matthew chapter 25 this week, and I've actually been stuck on this passage for about 5 days now. But one of the things that occurred to me is that when the King, Jesus, is talking to the faithful and telling them, "Listen, everything that you did for me." What was curious was their question back to him. He said all of those things. "You're hungry, you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink." And the faithful will reply, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you? And when did we see you thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did we see you without clothes and clothe you? And when did we see you sick? And when did we see you in prison and come visit you?" And of course, Jesus' response was, "Well, everything you did to the least of these, you did for me." But what was curious to me is that they had to ask, when? When did we see any of this? And maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into this, but maybe not. I wonder if they have to ask because doing kingdom work, feeding the hungry and giving drink to the thirsty and providing shelter for those who need it and showing mercy to who need mercy, I wonder if those things were so ingrained in the faithful that that's just what they did. That didn't really occur to them that, okay, I'm going to do this so that, or I'm going to feed this person so that Jesus will notice me. No. I wonder if it was we do these things because that's what we do. That's what the people of God look like. And it isn't for extraordinary attention. It isn't for some kind of reward deal here, even though we understand that we are storing treasure up in heaven. Is that why we do what we do, to get treasure in heaven? I don't think so. I think we learn to do these things because God does these things. And what we're trying to do is learn to become more like him. Now, on the flip side, there were those that Jesus called goats in this passage. And he told the goats, he said, listen, when I was hungry, you didn't give me anything to eat. When I was thirsty, you didn't give me anything to drink, and so on. And their question was remarkably similar. Lord, when did we see any of this? When did we see you hungry? When did we see you thirsty? When did we see you sick? And I wonder if the point was they didn't see it because they weren't looking. They didn't see it because they weren't trying. They were so focused on what they wanted, they were so focused on who they were, that they couldn't see past their own needs. The people of God see a need in front of them, and they do something about it. Not because they're great people, not because they're owed anything by God in the end. They do something about it because that's what you do. That's what God would do. In fact, that's what he did. Just a thought for you this morning. Pay attention to the world around you. Make sure you're seeing the little things, not for any kind of reward per se, even though you will get one. But that's not why we do this. Pay attention to the little things, because that's what we do. More to come.